It's fucking hot in here. Like, really, really hot. Welcome to another Yellow Sheldon Floorcast. Only this time, I'm not on the floor. I'm laying on the service counter. It was only like 80 today. And I am dehydrated, fucking tired, and I have a headache. I think you'll probably get sick eventually of all these like incessant like health complaints. However, I'm not going to stop until they stop. Bike business. It's tough on the old Constitution. I was thinking about something today that I wanted to talk about. We had like a bounce back. I don't know if you're familiar with the term bounce back, but if you do work on a bike and it's not right, there's a chance it might come back to you. I mean, I'll put it this way. You hope that it comes back to you. When it doesn't come back to you, that's when shit's really fucked up. When it doesn't come back to you, here's what happens. Someone goes on Yelp or YouTube or Facebook and just talks shit about what a horrible bike shop you are. Or not even bike shop, like whatever your business is. You know, you could be like a restaurant and provide exemplary service 9 times out of 10. But that one time they show up and they have to wait for an hour or their order's wrong, you know, their complaints are going to speak a lot more loudly than all the silent enjoyment of your product over the years, all the times you did it correctly. So, how to deal with a bounce back, and what's the responsible thing to do, and I mean, basically, how do you deal with it? I mean, it's fucking embarrassing to be on the front end of that and to take that call or to talk to that person face to face when they've paid good money to, have you, a professional, do what you're supposed to do and have it not turn out right. It's painful, especially if you're not the one that screwed up. I think that when you're the one that screwed up, it's a lot easier to sort of take ownership of it and say, I missed that. Like, I really missed that. Now, right this second, right now, I'm going to make sure that it's right. You know, if it's someone else, somewhere else, you just have to stop what you're doing, take like extreme ownership of the situation, and get to the bottom of it. And sometimes it's not your shop's fault, you know? There are tons of times when you adjust a derailleur and the person knows zero about bikes, and then they come back a week later and they're like, I have a flat tire. And it's like, so? Like, honestly, your first instinct is to be like, whatever, bitch. Like, you have a flat tire? Do you not understand? Like, you know, it's like you went to the dentist and then got breast cancer a month later, and you go back to the dentist and go, you fixed my teeth fucked up. Now I have breast cancer because you touched my body last. On the other hand, you know, when you're in the service industry and you want to do the right thing, the percentage of people who come in and are just like abusing the rules and just trying to get one over, or they have a blatant misapprehension about how things work, just serve them. Like, if they're not being a total, even if they are being a douchebag about it, like, so what? So you adjusted their bottom bracket and now their chain squeaks. It takes 2 seconds, if you're a good mechanic, to fix the thing that they're complaining about. And they're back out the door with a revitalized idea of what your shop is. Because, you know, bad feelings last for a really long time. And bad feelings and bad stories, that shit has legs. Like, that walks. You know, people talk about their bad experiences all the time. Think about how many times you've complained about a restaurant or a movie theater or like a car mechanic that screwed you over. You know, how many times do you tell your friends, aside from, you know, if you discover some new hip place, like, oh, like, it's not like that the food was super novel. It's just that every time I go there, I'm treated with respect, and the people seem to really care about what my deal is. We, you know, as human beings, we just talk about that shit less. Yeah, I know that, like, Jocko Willink uses that term, extreme ownership, but, like, what I mean is that you just take control of the situation, drop what you're doing, and make it right. Sometimes it's not going to be your fault, but you need to be willing to step up to the plate and just say, what can we do to make this better? You know, sometimes it's as simple as like, just, can you do it again real quick? The answer should always be yes. It shouldn't be, well, can you leave it for a week? Shouldn't fucking escape your lips. Just, if you can't do it, go to another service guy who's a little bit less busy. Explain the gravity of the situation and just have it done. I tend to not do that, though. I really feel like, if you want to be responsible and take ownership of a situation, the buck kind of stops with you. I feel as though in those types of situations, you really need to just make sure it gets done yourself. And I really wonder about what the sort of ethos is with other bike shops. Or perhaps the scar tissue that we see on customers so often is from the automotive industry. I'm not really sure. If you're a mechanic yourself, surely you've met those customers who they act like a wounded animal. They're always looking for that moment when you're going to fuck them over. They're just really scrutinizing the prices, and you tell them their chain's worn out, and they're really leery of it, like they want to see a measurement, which, by the way, provide the measurement. I don't need the roll-off cassette checker or the roll-off chain checker to know when a drivetrain's worn out. It's an illustrative tool, you dig? It's a way to show someone who's uncomfortable with the situation that their stuff really is worn out. So, chain checkers, I use them every day, and almost 0% of the time am I using them because I need to know the condition of the drivetrain. I'm often using them to demonstrate what the condition of the drivetrain is to someone who's not familiar with how bicycles wear out. So, yeah, just lost my train of thought, but I know what I was talking about. Take responsibility, show them that this shop is different, that your shop is different. Let's say they've been ripped off before. Let's say they've been taken advantage of. Or even if they haven't, if they feel that they've been taken advantage of, guess what? Most times, not all the time, there are crazy motherfuckers out there. 100%, there are crazy people who cannot be pleased no matter what. You know the type, the may I speak to your manager type with the super severe haircut and the shitty glasses. What I'm saying is that for the majority of people, they're not that type of person. They're just, what's that phrase? Once bitten, twice buggered? I don't know what the phrase is, but they're just a little shy about the experience because of their past experiences. So, you have an opportunity, you have a chance to turn that around. You have a chance to turn around their perception of the repair industry in general by treating them with fairness, by explaining the processes that you're going to charge them for, why they need them, giving them options. This is a used bike shop, so it's 100% within my power to say, you can pay $40 for this cassette, or you can pay $15 for this used cassette, and then tell them what the upsides and the downsides are to those choices. It reminds me of this one encounter I had with this kid. He was some foreign exchange student at the college, and I thought I was treating him with little kid gloves. I was being really, really gentle, and his bike was pretty fucked up, and it was it was a tough day for me, and I normally don't snap at customers, ever, and I wouldn't consider what I'm about to say snapping at a customer, but we did have to have a little chat. About halfway through our encounter, when he was staring at me all fucked up and questioning every single thing I did, halfway through I stopped and said, "Hey buddy, can we have a chat for a second?" And I said, I need to know your frame of reference, because you're treating me like I'm trying to rip you off, and in this shop we go out of our way to be the fairest and most responsible that we possibly can be, to the point where sometimes it's not in our favor. I would say a lot of the time it's not in our favor. We lose money on a lot of stuff. And I said, I'm not trying to insult you. I just want to know how we can step forward in this relationship where you trust me. And we started a dialogue, and it turned out that where he was from, most repair places, most street vendors, most of the people he had to encounter were the type that were going to fucking rip you off. It was always part of the process. There was barter. So, not barter, bargaining. Like you would always have to like they'd start really high and then you'd have to work their way up and down. It was just expected as part of the culture. And number two, the work was most often subpar and you weren't getting what you were paying for. And so he was coming into it with this attitude of like, I'm going to get fucked over no matter what. Like, this is just how the business works. And I'm coming at him like, Jesus Christ, dude, like, how can I get you rolling again? You know, how can I make your life easier? So, you know, I don't necessarily recommend that for everybody. Like, it's a crazy thing to have a conversation with someone you don't know about their life and their expectations generally in life. However, wow, it looks like my eyes are all teared up because of the neon lights above. I will say this, at the end of that conversation, we got a customer for life. Well, for as long as he was going to school here. He actually moved home eventually, but from that point forward, we were his shop, and anything that went wrong, he didn't even, after that initial repair, he didn't even question it. Like, he recommended us to all of his friends. The trust that I laid down with him that day, which took an uncomfortable conversation, you know, it lasted for the entire duration of his patronage to us. So, like, fucking take ownership of your mistakes. Take ownership of mistakes of people who work with you. And just, it's uncomfortable. Everybody hates it. You work facing the public, you work in retail or whatever, you work as a public-facing tech. It sucks. There's nothing worse than having to interface with the public. But, hey, you chose it. It's your job, so just do it. And do it well. And, like, rarely do I see an occasion where you tried to make things right for the customer, and it doesn't end with that customer understanding, being a customer for life, and, you know, even if it comes up in conversation to their friends, like, or even like there was a couple Yelp reviews which were like, you know, they screwed this up, 4-star review because if they screwed this up, I came back, and then they made it so much better and made me feel so, you know, they made me whole again. Like it more than paid, what I paid was more than given to me by this company. And we don't fuck up hardly ever. Like, we almost never fuck up. But when we do, we certainly don't try to sweep it under the rug. So it's just a little end of day, you know, like cool down, trying to stop sweating, and about to go chug about 10 gallons of water, thoughts on ownership and responsibility in this industry. Like, you know, especially in the internet age when tickets are dwindling and new bike sales are dwindling, customer retention is important. You know, it's super important. Keep them coming back. I know that when I personally go to a place that I'm comfortable, even if it's sort of out of my way, if the people there make me feel like I'm listened to and I can trust them, I'll go there for the rest of my life. Yellow Sheldon, the internet's busiest banana, signing off.